What is up, YouTube? Welcome back to Stocks by the Numbers. Today is Wednesday. Fed minutes came out. Market started to drop down. I wanted to do a quick update here on a company we've been looking at that's reporting earnings today. Name of the company in question, Coca Cola Consolidated. Ticker symbol COKE, listed here on the NASDAQ. Stock right now, $832.60. Down a little less than 4 points, just about 0.5% here on the day. What's going on? So we looked at this stock, obviously, all the way back here, early March of last year. Stock was around $550. And I said, in my opinion, 750, 800, even 1,000 is technically conservative. And chances are, we have a high probability that the stock can eventually get to that level. As you see, we ran up. I did an update around here. The stock was close to 800. Great call, fantastic, pat myself on the back. Stock kept going, as we see, hit a high of $961.91. Since then, has been kind of dropping down, selling off into this little consolidated downward channel here. And in my opinion, even if it drops here after these earnings estimates, I still say that in my eyes, I think it's undervalued, and I think it's eventually going to break out of this channel and climb back into the 900s and soon 1,000 plus. Now, I did want to point out that we did have this slight gap up. This was back on December 6th, December 7th, and you can see it was right around that 787 level, right? So even if earnings come out and they continue to sell the stock down, look, you can see down here, coming here, fast forwarding about a week from now, you can see that the stock can very well drop down to sub 800s and fill that gap and then bounce and climb and break out of that channel, right? And if we back it up here, you can also make the argument that this is potentially your pole and this is your flag, and we're about to break up here out of a potential bull flag. So not exactly sure if 100% we have a bull flag, because of course, even when we notice and spot these patterns, they don't always work out and come to fruition, right? So either which way, whether we have a flag or not, only time is going to tell where the stock is going to go. But overall, in my opinion, I still have to stand by my personal analysis, and in my opinion, I still say that this stock is easily $1,000 plus a share. We're looking at a market cap of 7.8 billion, a PE of less than 18. Look at that beta. Again, the beta is the volatility of the stock in relation to the overall volatility of the market. Look at that beta, basically less than 1/5 as volatile as the market. But looking here annually, we can see this is why, in my opinion, we like the stock and like the company overall. And basically what we're looking for is long-term growth here and consistent, stable growth. And what we're seeing is year over year, like clockwork, the company comes out and just posts more and more revenue. And as of late, the profitability has jumped up several percentage points as well. Now, for closing out 2023, maybe the net margin percentage may stay in line with the sub 7% and potentially even take a hit down into the 6s and the 5s. But in my eyes, what I'm looking at is the growth of revenue, right? So 6.2 billion to close out 22. But if we add up these 3 quarters here for 23, this is close to 5 billion right here for Q1, 2, 3 of 23, which means that all they have to do is maintain and post that 1.6, $1.7 billion revenue mark. That's going to bring the annual revenue for 2023 close to 7 billion for the year. And if we come back up here, we can see market cap 7.8 billion. So even conservatively speaking, if we do a 1.5 times multiplier on that annual revenue number, we're talking a little over a $10 billion market cap potentially, right? Which is roughly about a 25% move from this level. So 25% of 830 is a little over 200 points. We add 200 points to our current stock price, and obviously that would bring us up to 1020, 1030, and you can see that $1,000, again, conservatively, in my opinion, is my personal price target. But again, that is just my opinion. Of course, anything can happen. Earnings are unpredictable. And again, I pointed out the potential gap fill, so we could actually go down, even if it's good news, before going up and breaking out of that channel. Again, even up here in my eyes, I still felt it was undervalued, and I still felt it was a strong, stable company, and it was still worth your time, energy, and attention, even up here, right? So if they're going to bring it down and give it to you for a more attractive price, like I always say, if we liked it at 900 plus, we're going to love it down here at the low 800s, potentially the high 700s. But of course, that is just my opinion. Anything can happen. But I always say one of my rules is simply to follow the money. And if the revenue of the company is consistently coming in and consistently growing, you can't tell me that the stock is not going to be worth more. Right? I'm sure a lot of people, when they saw that SMCI video at 500, probably said, wow, this guy thinks it's going to 1,000? Really? I don't know if it's going to double that quick. And then boom, what happened? Just within a couple of weeks, we basically hit that point. All of a sudden, articles, headlines are coming out. Oh, you should sell it maybe. What's going on here? Is the AI boom over? Right? So all of a sudden now it's on everyone's radar, and everyone, all these Johnny-come-latelys want to give their opinion. But again, something like COKE, again, completely flying underneath the radar when I brought it to you, and that is exactly, in my opinion, the way I like it. And we went from 550 to over 950 throughout the course of 2023. So this, again, one of our big winners here on this channel, COKE, but overall, in my opinion, I still think it's a buy. I really do have to say that. I still think it's a buy. Switching over here to stock charts, we do have the potential to form a potential bearish hammer here, which could drop us down here to about this 820 level, this bottom Bollinger Band. But again, in my opinion, it really would just be business as usual if it just stayed in that consolidated channel. Because again, I'm very confident that it's probably going to break out and go higher, but of course, only time will tell. We can see that recently it dropped down below the 50-day moving average, was above it since all the way back in November, basically since last earnings. But we can see it tried to get back above and rejected. So in my eyes, I just think everyone's waiting for earnings to come out. They're going to hopefully see that the stock is stable and business is fine. And then we're going to take the stock higher, hopefully to that 1,000+ mark. We can see the MACD was actually flying to the moon here during this rally. And now, of course, came all the way back down to earth. So in my eyes, it's potentially ready for a curl there. But the good news about a slow, steady grower like this as well are the moving averages, which I mentioned essentially line up as future support levels for the stocks. And we can see that this 50-day was, was all the way down here at the low 600s, right? Now the 50-day is $869. Same thing with the 200-day, just going back here to around Halloween. You can see we have a value of sub 600. Now it's above 700. Right? So this is what I mean. These are potentially future higher support levels that the stock will hopefully bounce off of and try to stay above. But we can see that the RSI was well above 70 for several weeks here, as all of a sudden, all of a sudden everyone was talking about it, right? And, of course, no one knew about it when we knew about it. And now, again, they're all Johnny-come-lately. They're coming late to the party. So, of course, they all started buying in as the stock was hitting new highs. Then you have the FOMO. How didn't I know about this? And then, of course, the stock drops down in a consolidated channel. So, in my opinion, the RSI isn't really a leading indicator here, and we have an RSI now on the daily of sub 40, which again doesn't really tell us anything because in my opinion, everyone was just kind of waiting for earnings, it looks like. RSI here on the weekly as well got above 70 for several weeks and now recently started pulling back. Now it's sub 60, but in my opinion, yeah, we have a big beeline shot up here. Look at all those green candles, black candles, however you want to call them. And then you can see, again, we're kind of just bouncing downward here into this potential flagging. And we could probably break up higher. But again, earnings, unpredictable. Anything can happen. On the weekly, though, we do have the MACD crossing to the downside. However, as that happened, it looks like the stock hasn't really dropped too much. So I don't think that that is really fueling this sell-off here. But again, as we see, I was looking for, what I say, 787 was that gap fill, and we can see the mid-Bollinger Band here on the weekly, 781.24. So that's why I'm saying, even on a beat, we could potentially have a slight sell-off, roughly 40-50 points from this level, before bouncing, making that U-turn, and then regaining that momentum, and hopefully pushing us up higher and out of that consolidated channel. But only time will tell. But I still say, in my opinion, this is one that's flying underneath the radar. A lot of people don't know about it. And like I said, as it consistently grows and hits highs, people will learn about it and they'll say, oh man, I wish I could have bought in at like 500-600. And that is when we looked at it. But also, I mean, this technically doesn't guarantee us anything, and nothing is set in stone, of course, when it comes to earnings. I just consistently keep saying that because earnings, in my eyes, are 100% a gamble, and they're very unpredictable. So if you're going to take an earnings position, please understand the risks involved. But more importantly, looking at Coca-Cola, we can see that Coca-Cola recently reported a pretty decent quarter, beating on the top and bottom line here. So you would think, you would kind of come to that conclusion, even though, again, it doesn't make any guarantees, but you would come to the conclusion that if Coca-Cola just beat earnings estimates, then the Coca-Cola bottling facility should have a very good chance of beating earnings estimates as well. Right? Now, again, that doesn't necessarily mean they go hand in hand, and it doesn't mean that Coca Cola Consolidated will definitely beat because Coca-Cola Company beat. But in my eyes, I'm just kind of connecting the dots there, and in my mind, that does make sense. But I just wanted to point out this potential gap fill and also this little range that we're seeing the stock trading in for the last couple of months here. So I just wanted you to see both potential paths, right? Of course, the earnings could be good. Boom, we could pop up, 7% and run back to 880 and then just break out. Or we can slowly continue to drop down here into, the lower 800s, break sub 800, and then potentially bounce and run up. But again, earnings are unpredictable. We have to wait for this data to hit the tape. But overall, in my opinion, I still say I liked it at 500 or wherever we first looked at it. I was given updates along the way, 700, 800, in my opinion, still saying it's a buy, still saying it's overvalued. And again, the stock hit a high of almost 962 and then began pulling back. But the way in which it went on that run, again, look at this, going from 630 to 960, rallying about 50% inside of about 7-8 weeks. That is definitely nothing to sneeze at. And when you see a rally like that, what that means to me, in my opinion, is that this whole time before it, they knew it was undervalued. And that's why, with the company just, again, consistently paying their dividends, consistently growing their revenue, coming out above expectations. And again, we're looking at the value of the company compared to the actual business and revenue that they bring in. In my eyes, I still believe that Wall Street traders and investors alike feel that COKE, Coca Cola Consolidated, is still undervalued. But again, that's just my opinion. If you agree or disagree, let me know down in the comments section. I'm usually very quick to reply, and I'm going to end it there. So, Stocks by the Numbers, thanks for stopping by. Like the video, thumbs up, algorithm, helps me get more eyes on the channel. And of course, subscribe to the channel. That is our handshake agreement. That is how you help me help you. But more importantly, moving forward, like I always say, I understand markets are rocky and volatile and uncertain. I want to wish all of you success. I hope everyone makes a couple of dollars. Thanks for stopping by. Have a good day.